AJC Magic TV. Just quickly coming on and saying hello and giving my top 5 snacks that I get at Walt Disney World resorts. And also, I hit a big milestone today. Last summer on August 7th of 2018, I received a living kidney donor transplant, a living donor kidney transplant. So we're celebrating that, which was a great gift of life from a very good friend of mine. So I'm very grateful for that, as I had a very long journey of kidney disease for over 14, 15 years, but in the last 2 years before I actually had my transplant, I actually had to go on dialysis, and as I was on dialysis, I was not really going downhill or anything like that, but it wasn't something that I really wanted to do, as you know, it takes time out of your life and your schedule and any activities that you like to do, and it also made it very hard for me to want to travel to Walt Disney World, because I would have to take at least three hours out of my day, and sometimes 4, depending on transportation, to get there and back to my resort. So, happy 1 year anniversary to myself, and here's to happy health. Oh, my top 5 Disney snacks that I like to get while I'm at Walt Disney World. Number 5 for me is getting a churro. Sometimes you'll see them at a cart at the Magic Kingdom. I believe that's where I've always gotten them. I think you can also get them at the Mexico Pavilion or the actual quick service outside of the Mexico Pavilion along the Showcase Lagoon. They're very tasty. And if you get lucky enough, whenever they're bringing them out, they're a little bit warmer and fresher. And they do, at least the times that I was there, we would be in line and they would sell out, and we either had to wait for a new batch to come, or we just ended up not getting them and ended up with something else. My next favorite snack is, if I am in the World Showcase Lagoon area, is the caramel popcorn from the Caramel Couche in the Germany Pavilion. You can buy a small bag of caramel popcorn, it's very fresh, and of course, since it's sponsored by Werther's Original Caramels, it's very, very delicious to get. My third favorite snack is one of the novelties, whether it's a Mickey bar. Hello, Perfectly Cat. Just giving my top 5 favorite Disney World snacks. So far, number 5 is churros. My number 4 is the caramel popcorn in the Germany Pavilion at Epcot Center. And my number 3 is getting the Mickey bars or a frozen banana, so any one of those types of snacks, the frozen ice cream novelties. My number 2 favorite snack is the Rice Krispie treats. They're always one of my go-tos. In fact, that probably could be my number 1, because you can find them pretty much in any of the gift shops, or I know on Main Street Bakery. Yes, it is very good, and sometimes if you're lucky, you get in there when they freshly made it and put it in the bags, and you can buy a bag of that. I know at one time they had small bags, and then they have a larger bag. So if I'm by myself, I will get the smaller bag. If I'm with family, in fact, we tried to get it this time around, and it was sold out when we had gone by the Germany Pavilion, so we opted not to get that. So, but it is very delicious. And like I said, my number 3 is the Mickey bars or a frozen banana from one of the carts. That's usually a nice, refreshing snack. My number 2 is the Rice Krispie treats. And for me, they're a pretty go-to snack. You can get them at the, sometimes in the gift shops in the little bags, and they're not too bad, or you can get them pretty fresh. Sometimes at the Storybook location, I know on Main Street, in the Main Street confectionery. You can get them. They either come in the bags, or sometimes they have ones with the M&Ms or different chocolates and everything. Hello, Jason Chowders. Good evening. I was just quickly going over my top 5 Disney snacks, and I'll give the whole list again here, plus some honorable mentions. My number 1 snack is a Dole Whip, whether it's the pineapple float or the pineapple on the ice cream cone, or sometimes I will do the vanilla and pineapple mixed together. It's usually one of my favorite snacks that I like to get. I know now they have it at a couple other locations in the area. If you're at the Polynesian Resort, you can go out to the Pineapple Lanai and purchase your Dole Whip there. I believe also, of course, they have the Aloha Owl at the Magic Kingdom, and I know at the one place in the Animal Kingdom, I can't remember the exact name. I think it's the Tamu Lounge, and that one you can also get rum put in with your pineapple Dole Whip float. I never done it with the rum just because of it's just, at this point, I had a kidney transplant and I don't really drink alcohol unless it's something minor, so it's not something that I would do. Hello, Myers and the Mouse, Mama Mouse. Nice of you to join. I was going over my top 5 Disney snacks, plus give some honorable mentions. Hello, Mike Wheeler. Thank you for joining. I was going over my list of top 5 Disney snacks, plus some honorable mentions. Plus, today I am celebrating 1 year from a living donor kidney transplant, hence my shirt. I had a kidney transplant last year at this time, and it was a pretty long day. I don't really remember too much of the day, except in the morning we had to be there super early. We were a little bit delayed. Thank you, Mama Mouse. That was very nice. We were kind of delayed, and from that point on, it might have been like, I remember we got there at like 6 a.m. We had to be there either 5 or 6 a.m. And we had a delay because somebody had passed away over the night before. So my surgeon was in so they could procure, since the person was a donor. So myself and my living donor waited around. And from the time they took me down, I think it might have been noon or 1, but the time for me, I just don't remember everything. I remember going back to my room late at night, about 11 o'clock at night, and my sister and parents had been there all day, plus my donor's husband, he was there, but she had gotten back to her room earlier. So I'm very grateful, and that I got involved. I had been on dialysis for 2 years. I've actually lived with kidney failure for over about 14 years, and that's very nice of you. It's something that they really got into. I was about almost a half a year into dialysis, and friends of mine got kind of worried because at one point I got fluid overload and very sick, and after I'd gotten out of the hospital and gotten back into my routine, my one friend at my church and my pastor at my church said, you kind of scared us there, and maybe I'd like to start looking into something. And at that point, hello D Hazel, I was talking about my top 5 Disney snacks, which I'll go over the list here. But I was also talking about last year at this time, I had a living donor kidney transplant. And today is the 1-year anniversary. So I was just kind of talking about that day and why it led to me going for a living donor. Friends of mine thought, yes, thank you. Yes, I do believe God is good. And he's good all the time, as they say. And my pastor and my friend, who also was the organist at the church, said, hey, what are we going to do? When are you going to tell people and announce something? And just around that time, it was like November-ish, and I got a card from the transplant center that I had gone to and been going through, and they've been monitoring my blood work, and of course, if something would come up, I would get called if anything would come up. And they actually sent me a card about how do you go on social media and how do you find a living donor. So that kind of nudged me, and I decided to go to the meeting with my parents, and they actually had another meeting time, and I knew my pastor was really interested in getting information, and I said to him, hey, they'll let us come back to their other meeting if you like to go, here's the date. And he said, I'm clearing my calendar. So he came, and he became a very big advocate for me. I set up a Facebook page, Kidney for Amy. I sort of kind of managed it and gave my sister and my pastor administrative people so they could invite people or send out the notice. And that's what actually happened. It actually took me a little bit after the first of the year. In fact, I think it was probably mid-February. My pastor and I had announced January in church that he was going to hold sessions on becoming a living donor for anyone that might have wanted information or could pass along information and stuff. And shortly after that, I had gotten home in February and decided to start sending out my Facebook page of, hey, I'm just sending this out. Here's some information about myself. And I had a lot of friends who are pastors. I'm just very active in my church, and I became friends with them from different meetings and everything. So when I started sending it out, I said, hey, I'm not just asking you. I know you're a pastor. You have prayer lists. Can you put this on your prayer list? Yeah, I'm looking for a donor, but maybe there's somebody in your church or your organization that's looking for a donor, and it could help someone else out looking for needing a kidney transplant. Also, another big type of transplant, and that didn't affect me, is looking for a liver. That they're always looking for living donor for livers and kidneys. So, and there's lots of people on the list. So, I got lucky enough. I've had a few people go through their protocol. Some made it through. Some there were some issues. If you have any type of health issues or you're on any type of medication, you might not go further. Thank you, Dee. Yes, it was very amazing. And one person that out of the blue started asking me questions and came back a week later and said, hey, you have the number, I'm gonna go ahead and get myself registered for the living donor thing and go get myself tested and interviewed and everything. And it took a while. That was the frustrating part, because it seemed like every time she would call, she'd leave a message. Hello, Alan Roberts. I was just going over my top 5 Disney snacks, but I also today is a 1-year anniversary of a living donor kidney transplant. So it's been an amazing journey. I was on dialysis for 2 years, but I had lived with kidney failure for about 14 to 15 years. The time kind of went pretty fast and everything. Hello, Dances with Goofy. I was talking to everybody about today is my 1-year anniversary of getting a kidney transplant. I actually had a living donor, and it's just pretty exciting how I actually met this person, and it was just an act of God, because I was part of a Bible study group at a church that my friend was a pastor. My friend Sandra was a pastor at, and she decided that she was going to move on to another job, and they had kept the group running. And when my actual donor decided to keep the group going. We got to know each other and talk about, hey, this is what's going on with me. She knew I was on dialysis and everything. And when I sent out my living donor Facebook page to get the word out about, hey, I'm looking for a living donor. My next step, if that wouldn't have worked, my pastor had classes, and he knows a lot of people in the area. So, but the one person that ended up being my living donor, it took a while. We didn't get official word that she was at an actual match and everything was healthy till like probably about the second week of June. She had called me and said, hey, everything's working out, and I just have to go through one test and retest, but it looks like everything's going to go good. They're going to mix our blood, make sure that was kosher, because they do look at the antibodies and see how you mix to make sure that it would be a good match and everything. So it was very exciting. We found out that everything was good. Her and I had talked about, I believe it was like the end of June, we were talking about possible dates, because they had said to her, hey, think about some dates. And I knew that she was going to be doing a couple things where she was going to be teaching some classes in July, and then she had a wedding. And I didn't really want her to kind of squeeze it in between this wedding and the classes, and then she was going on a mission trip. So I said, hey, my calendar is free whenever you're available. So we had picked August 7th, and once everything looked good, it was a go. And it is nerve-wracking, because at any point the living donor could actually decide that, hey, I don't want to do this anymore or whatever. But she really felt called by God that this was something she was going to do. So it was a great thing. Today was 1 year ago today. I would have been probably in the recovery room about right now, because I didn't get up to back to my room until about 11 p.m., 11:30 from being there at 6 a.m., I believe. Thank you, Mike Wheeler. Yes, I do believe God was working his hand in our storyline, because had I never met her through another acquaintance, and that she got chosen to go to that particular church that I was involved in, the group that she decided to keep running, yeah, it would have never happened, because we were a pretty close, perfect match. So, and she has been doing very well. Thank you, Cargo. Hello, Cargo. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't want to. I know that the D&G Explorers was on there, and I just wanted to go on quickly to do my top 5 Disney snacks and see if other people would come on. So I do apologize to any of them. Thank you very much. So I did my top 5 Disney snacks, which I'll go over. Plus, I am celebrating 1 year from a kidney transplant. So that's very exciting. Everything seems to be going great for me right now, and hopefully that all stays together. And at any point, I do have to be very careful about different things. Like, I can't go swimming in freshwater lakes or rivers because of bacteria. I have to be careful with food, especially like going to a buffet. Thank you, Cargo. That was very nice of you. Yes, it was very awesome. So, and pretty much like make sure I have this hand sanitizer and everything. And it's been a great year, because for the last 2 years I really hadn't gotten able to really go on a vacation without, like, for a long period of time, because you had to make arrangements to get dialysis and stuff like that. So it kind of made it difficult. And last year, once I knew I was going to have the date for the transplant and everything, I decided to go down to Disney World, because my birthday was August 3rd, and I knew, and with the transplant coming up, I knew I wouldn't be able to travel for a while. And so I went down for 4 days to Disney World. Plus, my niece had just moved there and became a cast member at the beginning, about the middle of May, beginning of June, and she's been there over a year now. And when a lot of you go to Batu, you will definitely run into her, because she's at the most popular spot right now. That'll be at the Hollywood Studios in Batu. So that'll be exciting. But I did go down to visit her for 4 days, and I knew that was something I knew I really wanted to get there. So I had to arrange dialysis. I only had to do it one day. Luckily, I got in super early, and she was able to pick me up because it was on her day off. So I took a cab from my All-Star Sports Resort over to the Celebration area where they had a center. And then she came and picked me up, and then we just enjoyed the day at Epcot, and we actually were able to, while I was at dialysis, I was looking through Fast Passes, and I was able to get a Flight of Passage Fast Pass, and she was able to get one also at one point, because she said, oh, if you didn't get one, I was going to let you use the one that she had. And I said that was great, because the day before we actually had a hard time because it had rained at the Animal Kingdom and everything. So that was good. But and then I had the transplant, and I actually did get to go to Walt Disney World at the end of June. And it was mainly an Orlando trip. My sister and brother-in-law and myself and his mom, which was my niece's grandma, we traveled down to the Orlando area. They actually have a timeshare right outside of the Disney Springs area, and you kind of take the back roads in onto the Disney property, or it was really quick to get over to Universal. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of my pictures, when I do stay with them, and since my niece was going to be off with us, and since she works at Disney, we decided, and I hadn't been to Universal for a while since they had opened up the Diagon Alley. That was something I wanted to go do, and my niece wanted to do. So we did, and my sister had also gotten my niece a SeaWorld annual pass, and she has an annual pass for Universal, and of course she has her pass to go to Disney. So that she's pretty much covered in most of the the theme parks there. And if she wanted to, she could actually add the Busch Gardens over in Tampa onto her SeaWorld pass if she wanted to do that. But so we enjoyed ourselves at SeaWorld. The first day when we got down there on a Saturday. We kind of just hung out, and we were waiting for her to get off work, and we went to the Disney outlet and just kind of hung out and relaxed and went swimming at the resort and everything. And then Sunday we spent most of the day at SeaWorld, and then we did Islands of Adventures. Yes. Today is a very hard day for Greg, as we know, and that's very hard for him. But yes, that's very nice, Mike. Yes, and I had reached out to him and trying to send him some positive vibes. I know it's never easy to have to lose someone in your life like that, and then also starting a whole new life. We're in Orlando now, so hopefully, it's never easy to lose someone, and I could see that being a hard time for him. Yes. Thank you, Mike. That was very nice of you to say that. But so it was my first trip after the transplant, and we did Islands of Adventure, Universal. I did get to meet the Touring the Galaxy, because we had spent most of the day at Islands of Adventures, and it was fairly hot, and And we pretty much hit all the stuff that we wanted at the ride, since the Haggard ride wasn't open, and and we had done the Harry Potter stuff and a lot of the other things. So we went back and kind of relaxed, and then I decided I wanted to go over to the Magic Kingdom, because I had reached out to the Touring the Galaxy, Dana and John, and said, hey, I'm probably going to go over to the Magic Kingdom. I can meet you guys over at the Contemporary or wherever is easiest, because I know they were nearby, so they did come into the park. So they we met up, spent most of the evening till almost park closing. I had to get back, and I know they are very, very nice. We had good conversation. We rode the Jungle Cruise and the Haunted Mansion, and we also did Big Thunder Mountain, and we did some pictures inside the Memento Mori's shop, and they're very nice. I can't wait to get back and meet them again and say hello and hang out. They're very, very nice guys. So, yes. And then I also met Greg at the Magic Kingdom the day we went to the Magic Kingdom. I kind of felt bad because it was kind of a rainy day, and he had gone all the way over there, and I was trying to meet him. And with my family there, it's kind of hard to like try to branch out to meet them, especially if they don't understand meeting. I don't want to say like complete strangers. I've been in, I'm part of a Disney community I've been a part of since I been traveling to Disney, and it more was an internet type of group where we had a news group and we would talk about, it's pretty much the same thing when people ask some of the people, except you did when you're on live stream showing the people the resorts and stuff. But in those days, you couldn't do I'm sure they probably had some way of maybe putting a video or something online, but the news group was great. It helped me plan my first on-site Disney stay, and I became friends with them, and we met up, and they kind of do meets almost every year in December, and at one point it got really big. Yes, his mom did pass away a year ago, and yeah, it's very hard. And anytime someone loses someone, especially your mom or your dad or a child or someone that was very close to you, it's not an easy day for them. So I did meet Greg at the Magic Kingdom, and like I said, I felt bad. He did come over and meet. It was kind of rainy. We talked while my family was inside the Filler Magic. And then whenever he was planning on going over to another park anyway, but this time around I hope to spend a little more time, and since I'll be traveling solo, it'll allow me to meet whoever I would like to, because that's the only hard part when you do have family. It's not that my family, they would have welcomed them in and stuff like that, but it's also kind of strange for them, because here I am meeting someone that I only knew through live streams and stuff. But so and everything, but I knew, so it was great to meet him at the Magic Kingdom. We did the Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and of course Epcot. I did get to meet Corey Meets World right before, as he was starting his stream. I knew that he was gonna go to Epcot real quick to do his little Beverly challenge thing, and so when he was getting ready, we had gone over to Future World, and I wanted to look for pins anyway, and then whenever I was walking back towards that, he was still at the Fountain of Nations, and of course I was on his stream, but it was nice meeting him very quickly. Unfortunately, I forgot to get a picture with him, but I knew he had just started his stream and everything, so hopefully I'll get to catch up with him. But there are several others I would like to meet and say hello and everything. But I guess enough about that, but that was my first trip after my transplant after a whole year. I did kind of side trips while I was on dialysis, but they weren't very far places, more weekends because it was hard whenever you were on dialysis 3 days a week, and it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so it was kind of hard for me to plan something where I would go afterwards. So, but it was great to get back to Walt Disney World and the Orlando area. For a lot of people, I was a cast member back in the right around when Hollywood Studios, which was Disney MGM Studios, whenever I worked there, had opened, and I had worked there for about 2 years. I was in the food and beverage area. I had started off at Hollywood and Vine when it was a cafeteria type place, and now, of course, it is the buffet for the character meals. And then while I was at the Hollywood and Vine, I had transferred over to the Primetime Cafe and had worked there most of the time. I had helped them set up the kitchens and stuff at Sci-Fi Dine-In and I can't think of what the restaurant that's right there, it's kind of quick service, the commissary, the ABC commissary. And at one point I had looked at possibly moving over to Mama Melrose restaurant, but I decided it wasn't going to work out for me as people had were coming to visit me, so that was yes, it was a very fun place to work, the Primetime Cafe. And those, of course, the menu has changed over the years of different times, especially because they had a lunch menu where you could get burgers and different food sandwiches and stuff. And now they still have the home cooking of the fried chicken and everything. But the best part was in the early days, and I think some of the servers still kind of play around with you, like, hey, you didn't eat your vegetables, let's play airplane, or hey, what color was the soap if you went into the bathroom to make sure you washed your hands, and keep your elbows off the table or stop fighting, brothers and sisters and mom and dad, or you can't have your dessert until you eat that last vegetable or whatever. So yeah, it was a very fun place to work, and that was pretty much it. I had decided that I would come home just because most of my family lives in the area that I live in. I live in Western Pennsylvania, a little bit south of Pittsburgh area, and part of me, I sit there and think, boy, I would have been there 30 years since this is the 30th anniversary of MGM Studios, Hollywood Studios. And, but I sit there and think, well, there's a lot of opportunities I had since I'd come back and a lot of different people I met and stuff. So, yeah, you can't just sit there and dwell on it. I would love to get back to the Orlando area and Disney area to, of course, to have all those places to go and visit and everything. But, it's always nice to get down there every once in a while and visit. I do, like I said, I have a niece who's a cast member, and I also have a cousin who's a cast member with Disney, and they really love the jobs that they're doing, and so and they do like to live in the area. So we'll see what the future holds there. But since my family's still around, it's not something that I'm going to go ahead and jump. Plus, with the health issues that I had developed over the years, this was probably the best place for me. And I also had many opportunities over the years with different mission trips to the Appalachia area. I've gone to Zimbabwe. I've been to Lithuania. I actually gone to England on a tour. And so you give or take, and depending on, and I've done a couple cruises, 2 on the Disney Cruise Line and 1 on a Carnival Cruise Line. And I've traveled to other places. I've been to Disneyland once, and that was before they actually did their major renovations of putting in the Disney California Adventure Park. So, and it was actually around Christmas time, and it was a nice day. I actually went there from Las Vegas. I flew in for the day and went around to the park, and it was fairly empty. It seemed kind of strange to me at first, just because I was used to Disney World, and for how empty it was, but that was pretty much it. I'll just quickly go over my top 5 Disney snacks. My number 5 was churros. My number 4 was the caramel popcorn in the Germany Pavilion. And it could be any popcorn too. Sometimes I get it at the popcorn carts. My number 3 snack is the Mickey bars or frozen bananas. I usually like them, or even the fruit bars are pretty tasty on a hot day. And my number 2 is the Rice Krispie treats. They're pretty much a go-to a lot of times. That probably should have been my number 1, because you can get them mostly anywhere at either in the food courts or the confectionery. Sometimes they'll have them in the gift shops in the packages. But I love the Rice Krispie treats. And of course, my number 1 is the Dole Whip snacks. But there are very many snacks that I still want to try, and they have like the churro ice cream sandwiches, the ice cream at the Main Street thing. I've been to Beaches and Cream, of course. Ample Hills will have a location. They have it at the Boardwalk, and I just read that they're going to have a location at Disney Springs. If you are on the stream, or if you are going to be watching the replay, please hit the like button. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. That would be nice. We're pretty close to 400 subscribers, so that would be very nice. And there's all other snacks. I do now that bakery has changed to Starbucks, of course. If the lines aren't long there, I do go to Starbucks and get the iced teas. And there's all kinds of snacks. There's ice cream. There's sometimes I see people getting the different fries that they have around with the different sauce, or the poutine that they have there. And of course, you know, with Food and Wine Festival coming up, they're going to have all those different booths. So they're not an every trip type of snack, but you'll be able to snack around the world. So there's all kinds of things, and everybody has their favorites. And I know after watching a lot of different streams and stuff, I'll be looking for different snacks or wanting to try something else. So that was pretty much it, my list. And I do thank you for joining me. This is AJC Magic TV. Have a good evening, everyone. And it was nice of you to join me this evening. I know I don't want to stay on too much longer, because I know This and That will be on at 9:30 or going on here soon. And I know D&G Explorers was on, so sorry that I know some people have different things, but I just wanted to quickly go on. And I do thank you all, and have a good night. Bye, everyone. Thank you.